Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I'm your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you art articles and articulations straight from Articulation Station, where I'll be assessing the situation. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it. Sharing is caring. All that other good stuff. My apologies if there's any buffering. My system is suffering. But enough about me and my system. Well, speaking of systems, I have an article for you. I'm going to run through it, or shall I say read through it and react to it as quickly as possible. Feel free to disagree with me. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. Here I go. And I'll also add that this is news from last week. It's an article from last week. I just never had a chance to speak about it. I did reference the hearing in passing. But as for pontificating on it, I did not do that, so I'm going to do that now. Actually, I'm not going to share too many of my own thoughts. I have to go to work soon. My schedule is a bit off this week. I'm going in a bit late this morning. I have a few moments to spare, a few minutes to spend articulating, which I'm going to do to the best of my ability. Silly me. Here you go. A headline from the Hill. No hill to die on, but it's interesting to say the least. 5 revelations from the explosive Fani Willis hearing in Georgia. First and foremost, I would be interested to know if you caught any of this yourself. I caught a portion of it. I caught the portion in which Fani Willis herself was testifying. Yikes. As well as the portion in which her lover/ex-lover, Nathan Wade, was testifying. So on and so forth. I believe I caught a couple of additional portions in which their friends/ex-friends were testifying as well. I say ex because, let's face it, after something so consequential, friendships and relationships fall apart. They do. And in regards to Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, their relationship was deep. Okay. Tensions exploded Thursday during a frenetic hearing to determine whether Fulton County's district attorney's office should be disqualified from continuing its 2020 election interference prosecution of former President Trump and his allies due to a relationship between top prosecutors on the case. In case you didn't know. Before I go on, let me just say that I'm no staunch supporter of Donald Trump, although I did vote for him in 2020. I have maintained that most of the people who go after him, most of the people who prosecute him, turn out to be just as bad as he is. And I maintain my position. I think that's one reason why so many Americans have fallen for Donald Trump. I say fallen as someone who didn't necessarily fell for him, but supported him to a certain extent previously, as I already mentioned. That's neither here nor there. You can make your own decision. That's not what this show is about. This is about Fani Willis specifically. Let me shrink my face a little bit more so you can see what's going on if you want to read along. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis suddenly took the witness stand to defend her once romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, clashing face-to-face with defense attorneys whom she and Wade both accused of lying. And she did go in guns blazing. Yeah. She was ready. She was ready to face her demons. Well, those whom she perceives to be her demons. Who is on the right side of the history books, you might wonder? Well, that is a good question, and I don't believe that it's her. I just don't. She's biased, to say the least. They all are. Which is why they would feel the need to go after Trump and the co-conspirators. But in addition to that, in addition to all of the conflicts of interest and the potentially con or criminal behavior, I just don't trust them at all. I don't trust Donald Trump either, but I don't trust the people who go after him, the people who prosecute him. I don't, because I know that they have an agenda. In every case, it seems like they have an agenda. Call it election interference. Call it whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying. I want him to lose fair and square. I do. Well, I'm not saying I literally want him to lose. I don't really care who wins at this point. I would probably be more mad if Joe Biden wins than if Donald Trump wins, but I'll be more amused if Donald Trump loses. To be perfectly honest. So, got a little bit ahead of myself, but here, with her pointing finger, is the aforementioned Fani Willis. I'll leave that there for a second so I can use it as a thumbnail. I think I've been looking at the wrong camera, but that's okay. I have too many of them to choose from. So on and so forth. The defense, spurred by a motion filed by Trump campaign operative Michael Roman last month, claims Willis and Wade's relationship renders the 98-page racketeering indictment fatally defective and has asked a Georgia judge to boot them from the case. Now, truth be told, or at least opinion be told, I don't know that this will be fatally defective to the point where it will fall apart. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time giving the system the benefit of the doubt when it's going after Donald Trump. We know the system doesn't like Donald Trump. Well, a certain portion of the system. And as for Trump's claims that he is going to drain the swamp, aka system, that's just never going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. It's not going to happen. Because he likes the system more than he would like for you to believe. Or at least he is sympathetic to the system. He's just another politician at this point. But, with that being said, with her reputation on the line, Willis minced no words while attempting to persuade Judge Scott McAfee that no ethical lines were crossed, and defense attorneys left no stone unturned as they sought to prove otherwise. So she had worked with the judge, in a sense, in the past, and he almost seemed sympathetic to her. He almost did, because she was very unruly, if you ask me, and yet he didn't call her out very much at all. But here are 5 of the biggest revelations from Thursday's explosive disqualification hearing. Willis calls the allegations a lie. That's one. After allegations of a romance between the prosecutors surfaced, the district attorney's office stayed silent for weeks. But on Thursday, Willis took the stand with gloves up. Yeah. And she was swinging. She came out swinging. So one of the main questions is whether or not their relationship, which was very, very, very romantic in nature, began before or after she chose him to be her top prosecutor on the case. Yeah. So, if I'm not mistaken, at least one of those friends who testified stated that they were being romantic all the way back in 2019. But both Willis and Wade deny that. They say it didn't start until more recently, 2022. So, here we go. At the start of her testimony, she, as in Willis, railed against Roman attorney Ashley Merchant for filing the dishonest motion to disqualify the district attorney, accusing her of spreading lies and implying she slept with Wade the first day she met with him. Now, since I got to keep it fair and square on my part, I'm not going to overcompensate and begin believing everything that Trump's attorneys, the attorneys on the defense there, well, on the defense in this particular hearing, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to overcompensate and begin believing everything they say. I remain a contrarian across the board. Got to remain consistent. But when someone lies to you, it's highly offensive, Willis said after McAfee asked her to stay on topic with the questioning. Yeah, Willis was ranting. Another line of questioning about whether Willis and Wade cohabitated drew outrage from the district attorney, who grabbed a stack of exhibits in both hands, shaking them and repeating, "It's a lie, it's a lie." Fire and brimstone. She accused Merchant of intruding in her personal life and reminded the district attorney, or shall I say, the defense attorney. There's so many attorneys. She's not on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020, she said, waving out at the crowd. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial. I mean, she kind of is on trial. So even if you don't want to go as far as to say that she was outright lying in a way that's illegal, she was being very secretive for obvious reasons. And then when the news got out, which wasn't meant to get out, they went on the defense. Yeah, they went on the defense because at this point they are on trial. I mean, they risk their entire case against Trump and the co-conspirators because of their dirty work on the side. Okay, another takeaway here, another revelation. Willis Wade stand firm on relationship timeline. Pausing for the effect there. That is Nathan Wade. Both Willis and Wade testified that their relationship began early 2020, sometime between February and April, but both struggled when asked for precise dates of when the relationship started and ended. Yeah. It's not like when you're in grade school and you send a little letter and it says, "Will you be my girlfriend?" And you check it, Willis said. I don't know the day that we started seeing each other, but it was early 2020. Is my recollection. So, that could be. Very well could be. But it's awfully convenient as a narrative as well. So, of course she's going to say that, right? If no one can prove otherwise, of course she's going to say that. A little bit of hearsay from a couple of friends/ex-friends may not exactly change the trajectory of this. Well, I don't know if I would call witness testimony hearsay, but a lot of filibustering from Willis and Wade might just do the trick. The prosecutors both testified that they met at a 2019 judicial conference and bonded as jurists of color, but not romantically, instead starting a mentor-like relationship. Wade recalled that their communication increased as time passed, but that he would not have been dating Willis any earlier than 2022 because he was battling cancer amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So that information does benefit him and his narrative. But yeah, Wade went on the stand before Willis and asked similar questions about dates, joked that as a man, he was bad when it came to dates. It seemed to me that Fani Willis was watching his testimony and then, felt the need to go in and speak her own mind, which she did very emphatically, even if not effectively. But going on here, another quote from Wade. He said, "That prevented me from pretty much leaving environments that aren't sterile," he said, referring to 2020 and part of 2021 in which he was dealing with cancer. But the pair did differ on when the relationship ended. Wade testified that they stopped dating in summer 2023, possibly June, though he was unsure of the date. Willis offered a slightly different timeline, testifying that she considered the relationship over by August. "He's a man. He probably would say June or July," Willis said. "I would say we had a tough conversation in August." That doesn't necessarily prove anything either. Men in relationships with the physical intimacy. Not necessarily true. Women in relationships when that tough conversation takes place, she added. I'd say it depends on why you're in the relationship in the first place. But in their case, considering the romantic, sexual nature of their relationship, I think they were probably both in it for that very reason to a certain extent. Despite their romantic relationship running its course, both Wade and Willis described each other as good friends and said that their relationship was strengthened by the attacks they faced in Roman's motion. I think they would benefit from maintaining that they are still friends. It just is a slightly worse look if you not only say that their relationship has fallen apart, but that you are no longer even friends. That suggests that things have ended poorly, potentially because of the ongoing legal matters. But yes, I think that you have cemented that we'll be friends to the day we die, Willis told Merchant, one of the defense attorneys. Oh, that goes right along with what I just said. Saying the quiet part out loud there. And here's another revelation, so-called revelation. Ex-friend contradicted span of romance. And this is what I already spoke to. I said I wasn't going to speak too much for myself, but I just can't help myself. Despite their agreement, the relationship timeline presented by Willis and Wade was imperiled by testimony from one of Willis's former friends. Robin Yurty, who met Willis in college, testified Thursday that the district attorney began a romantic relationship with Wade in 2019, shortly after a municipal court conference, and 3 years prior to when the prosecutor said they began dating. Willis told the court that she and Yurty would party together in college but are no longer friends. Yurty affirmed the two no longer spoke, testifying that their relationship ended after a situation happened when she was working for the district attorney's office that resulted in an ultimatum: resign or be fired. You have no doubt that their romantic relationship was in effect from 2019 until the last time you spoke with her, Merchant asked Yurty. No doubt, Yurty replied. So someone is lying. Someone is perjuring themselves. Another revelation here. Willis paid cash for vacations, so she says. According to her and her dad, she kept a pile of cash in her home, and she used that cash to pay Nathan Wade back for trips, which he paid for her to go on, though she paid for some trips as well, namely his birthday trip. But yes, she maintains that there were piles of cash in her home, which she paid him back with, therefore leaving no paper trail, because Wade just turned around and spent the money or something like that. So there's no proof of anything they're claiming, but it's another convenient narrative for them. Whether or not it's true, I have no idea. I can't say. And considering the lack of proof of illegality, well, it may just be left as unethical at most. Just trying to be reasonable. I could be wrong about that. The whole case could be thrown out, could be dismissed for one reason or another, but I'm just saying, they have quite a few excuses, even if they're very, very poor excuses. At the heart of Roman's disqualification motion is whether Willis hired Wade while they had a romantic relationship and has since financially benefited from his employment. So yeah, I mentioned the first part of that earlier, but financial benefit, that's the other big question. Whether or not that can be proven, that is the question. In court filings, defense attorneys pointed to joint vacations to Aruba and Belize, plus 2 cruises to the Bahamas and other trips, for which they said Wade paid. Willis and Wade claim they divide their travel expenses rather evenly because she's an independent woman and cannot have her man paying her way. Okay, I don't take too much issue with that, but, although it's to each their own, it could just be a narrative, convenient narrative. However, Wade testified he only had one receipt to back this claim because Willis otherwise always paid in cash. The remark caused one defendant in the gallery, David Schaefer, to laugh out loud, drawing a rebuke from the judge, who said he'd be removed for any other outbursts. I did catch that. out of the corner of my ear. The special prosecutor described Willis as an independent, proud woman who insisted on paying her own way, and used cash for safety reasons, not to obscure the transactions. Okay. He also said he did not deposit the cash Willis paid him for their trips together. You don't have a single solitary deposit slip to corroborate or support any of your allegations that you were paid by Mrs. Willis in cash, do you? Schaefer attorney Greg Gillen pressed him. Sorry, I'm losing my mind at this point. I have to go back to work. No, sir, Wade replied, adding he would either spend it or put it in his pocket, or put it in the hotel's safe. Okay, so this article ends soon, and very soon. Asked about the cash, Willis testified she had always kept a stash because her father told her growing up that, as a woman, she should have at least 6 months' cash in her home at all times. I always have cash at the house all my life, she said. After their testimonies concluded, the defense attorney suggested from the gallery that Willis and Wade's cash system didn't pass the smell test. Of course, he would say that. He or she, whichever defense attorney suggested that. Wade disputes defense claim he lied in divorce filings. He was really beating around the bush on that one. In regards to the time frame in which he was officially separated from his ex-wife. But yeah, that's another revelation, supposedly. On Monday, merchant who first unearthed the romantic allegation between Willis and Wade in court filings claimed Wade previously said in divorce documents under oath that he had no outside relationship during his marriage, a direct contradiction to the affidavit he filed earlier this month acknowledging his relationship with Willis. We've got two declarations in two different courts, both sworn, both filed with the court, that say something completely different, Merchant said earlier this week, claiming Wade later altered the interrogatory in his divorce case to assert a right to privacy. Wade attempted to clear the air Thursday, testifying that by 2015, his marriage was irretrievably broken, and that any relationship with Willis did not contradict his sworn statements. Because my marriage was irretrievably broken, I was free to have a relationship, he said. So technically, he's wrong. Because he said that he was not having a relationship during his marriage. That is wrong. He was married. It's just that he was irretrievably broken off from his wife. So they were separated, but they were still technically married. So either he was lying or he just has a very improper understanding, which would be surprising considering how he's a lawyer. That is that. That is the end of that article. Hope I didn't waste too much of your time. Sorry, my voice is giving out on me, so is my brain. There we go. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. I gotta go back to work. Go to work. I haven't been to work yet. I'm usually recording on my lunch break. Like I said, my schedule is a bit different this week, or at least today. I'm wishing you well the rest of your week. In the meantime, peace.